Button clicked.
Good Sunday morning, good afternoon, depending on which part of the world you're in. And we are international. We are all across the world. And welcome to January 12th, 2020. And Spirit Sessions, A View of Life, third season. And we have a very special guest, a returning guest. Yay, I know. We had lions last week. This week we have dragons. And so we're starting this year off with a boom. This is our second episode, and we're with Araya Anra. We love this dragon lady, and we say it with all the much affection we can. She has the most piercing blue eyes you've ever seen. And I just love her and the dragons. And so what we'd like you to do is share this out internationally across the world with all your friends, and the ones who share it the most this week win a healing session with me this week. Bex will announce the winner of last week's healing session. So I think I'll hand this introduction of Araya to the person who knows her the best. Teresa, please introduce our guest.
All right. I'm so excited about Araya because you know how the Spirit puts synchronicities there for you when you're learning things? Well, I had just found out that my higher self was a dragon, and I'm like, what in the world does that even mean? And so I put myself down for a nap thinking, okay, I'll come up with something. And the minute I woke up, there was a live video from Araya, and she was talking about reincarnating, what it really means is that I'm a dragon incarnate. And she was talking about that day. And I'm like, I'm like crying because it's all resonating with me. I'm getting the chills and synchronicity that she was put before me, and she's become my teacher. I've read her book, and I keep reading it again and again and doing the exercise in it called The Dragon Within, which you can now get a hard copy of to hold in your hands, or the ebook, which is where I go. I go and I read it from the ebook. But let me read to you her bio. So my friend Araya Anra is a certified psychic medium, angel channel, and energy healer by the American Federation of Certified Psychic Mediums, and a certified reflexologist practitioner through the Universal College of Reflexology. She is, as we've stated, affectionately known as the Dragon Lady, and I promise you, when you watch her talk and she's talking about the dragons, you can see the transformation take place. You know this lady is a dragon, and it's like, oh yes, it's too cool. She has this unique relationship with the dragons that allows her to help others who have dragon energy to understand their connection with them and to be healed by them. This is so important to be able to understand, to be able to know, to be able to make it all tangible, all the ideas and theories that are out there. What the heck is a dragon? Well, to know it in your heart, this is what you come to a teacher like Araya for, and it's beautiful. And so if you guys want to get a copy of that book and start your journey, get a hold of her. Get your journey started. We're going to put all the information in the comments today. So look in the comments and you'll see the information. So Araya, welcome back to Spirit Sessions.
Thank you. I'm excited to be back. There's been so much transpired since last time. And I love that you guys have asked me to talk about activating the dragons around the world, because last time we spent the entire time talking about what is the realm of dragons and why are they here and how are they a part of our journey. And so I know people can go back in the archives and watch that, if they haven't seen that or this triggers them, that there's a lot of information there. And also in my Facebook group for the Love of Dragons with a capital LOVE, the video archives are my YouTube channel. There's so much information. If this triggers and calls you on a heart level, follow that call, because the dragons are here now because of the incredible wave of energy that's happening and the readiness of all of us to pop open. And there's that final piece that maybe you've been hesitant or pushing it back, but if they start showing up in your field or someone else is perceiving them in your field, pay attention, just allow that to move you forward. And there's so many tools now. There's guided meditations, there's the book, all on dragonwithin.com, and putting them out in French and Spanish this month. The books are going, as well as some guided meditations in French coming up in the next couple of weeks.
I love that. So you've been doing something that's been totally interesting to me and exciting. You've actually been going around the world. You've been to Tibet, you've been to Africa, and there's more places coming up. Japan is coming up, and you've been all these places activating dragons, and these are not cute little dragons like the ones behind you. These are huge continent-sized dragons. And anybody that knows Brad Johnson, he was down in South Africa, and he was telling the people that, yeah, dragons are continent-sized, you know? So that was further confirmation. What are you doing? Why aren't they waking up on their own? I mean, what is this all about?
So I was given years back in my meditations, and then a full confirmation list when I was drawn to Machu Picchu finally, about 3 years ago. And I have a list of sites around the world that are major grid points. And when we talked before, I had talked how the dragons actually hold the templates of the planet in place. They are the understructure, the sacred geometric underlying any matter, any form in matter. There's a sacred geometric structure. And for the earth and its atmosphere, the dragons are the ones holding that, for our entire universe actually, holding that structure in place. So I was shown, because of who I am as dragon, the points that I'm responsible to actually get to and walk on physically to activate the energy within it so that the grids are fully activated. Some of those are specific points that are associated with the grids that I'm doing, but some are also activating the larger dragons. So the one dragon that was really key that you're referencing last November in South Africa and Egypt, the female black dragon was sort of in a comatose sleep state. Her energy had been repressed down into the core of the planet in the swing of the patriarchal, matriarchal aspect where the divine feminine had been suppressed for so many eons. And so it came to me that she is the one that's been clearing the shadow and holding the divine feminine. She is that aspect. And so as her energy was suppressed, it was time to wake her up and call her forth and back into her rightful place, which is when the real balancing of the divine feminine energy on the planet started revealing and happening. And we started seeing things around the globe of people, women specifically, coming together and calling forth their power and bringing it back in line, and not in a power struggle of now we're going to be more dominant, which a lot of the feminist movement has been, unfortunately, over decades, but more of a, it's time to come into balance and walk as equal partners and bring the whole sphere back into balance. So the female black dragon was that big one, and that ended up being both Egypt and South Africa simultaneously. So if you remember on November 7th last year when I did that ceremony in her crown chakra, there was a group led by one of my dragon hearts, Loretta Brown, who's an amazing healer. And she is very connected to Tiamat, the larger dragon in the planet. And so they were actually in the King's Pyramid in Egypt simultaneously. We had a sunrise ceremony lining up the timeline of when they would be there and when I would be in my spot. And by activating this line of energy that went through her crown chakra all the way down her spine, because she runs the entire continent of Africa. Like, you can actually see her if you pull up Google Earth. Her head is down towards Cape Town, and you can see her outline. Her brow of her nose goes up and around. You can see the jawline, and then her back and her wing goes out into Mauritius, and her tail wraps up around the Mediterranean. So her birth canal, her root chakra, is in Cairo. It's where those pyramids are. So that line of energy ran all the way down to actually bring her back up into consciousness and bring her into awareness again. So she is the one continental dragon that has really been one of the activations. But the other sites, starting with actually Sedona, was back in September, just before that. And that was the first one. Spontaneous thing that happened. I knew all these sites were coming. You know, you get, part of the journey is getting the breadcrumbs and following them. And it's so frustrating sometimes because we want the whole picture. We want to understand where we're headed. We want to have it all now. And our guides are saying no. Part of the reason it's breadcrumbs is because we have to move into a space of true trust and alignment with our guides, with ourselves, and allow our hands to come up and surrender. And this is like a constant theme with all of my sessions and groups. It's just continuous. Hands up, let go of the steering wheel. Allow your higher self to guide the show and let the breadcrumbs lead you to where you need to go. And so I had all these sites, didn't know when they were going to start. Took my Dragonheart group, my first program, to Sedona for a retreat all together to finish their program. And when we were doing the activations, it all became clear. And this became the first one. And what I was shown was that these, when I do these pillar points, they're actually pulling the pinpoints out of the third dimensional realm. So if you imagine 3D is sort of like a tapestry or a layer that's pinned in place on Gaia, on the globe, right? And if we release them, it's like pulling a thumbtack out that allows that part to raise up and not be stuck in place anymore. So as I do the larger points, which I was in Mount Kailash, which was a huge one last September, and I took a small group with me, and what ended up happening on that trip is not only the huge pillar activation of Kailash and the points around it that we did to create that massive pinpoint being pulled up, but there are so many dragons in the land, so that when I travel somewhere, they might not be the large continental ones, which the continental ones are the 12 dragons of Mu. That's the Council of Mu, and there's 6 pairs. There's the earth, the air, the fire, the water, the black, and the white dragons that are the 12 that are holding the continental plates in place. And they've been there since Earth came into form. They're about to be released, so I find it fascinating that you had a gal who's actually also very connected to the dragons. She's part of the Dragonheart program on your show last week talking about the lions. Because what a lot of people don't know, because I haven't revealed this information yet, except in my programs, is that the dragons now, their responsibility as all of this comes into play and everything gets released, their responsibility is actually going to be complete. And they are able to pass the baton of responsibility for the next phase of the planet over to a new group, to a new system, which is the white lions, the golden winged lions. The golden winged lions are represented physically by actual white lions on the planet, which are down in South Africa. And so there's a very deep connection between those energies. And many people know the golden winged lions are from Lyra. The Lyran system is all the Lion Kingdom. And what's interesting as well is that over the last year, I've been able to connect with and realize that there are actually beings that are half dragon, half lion, that are coming together to be the bridges for this time of transition. And it actually took me by surprise when I realized I thought it was a new group of dragons coming in to be passing the batons to. And all of a sudden I revealed that, oh, yes, it's going to the lions. So that's really what these activation points are about. And I'm glad you brought up the ones coming up for this year, because I am going to Mount Fuji. I'm making those plans right now in July. And that is a point that's connected to a new dragon that's birthing that showed up in the maps and in the continental plates. I couldn't see it. I could only see the head when I originally made all my maps. And now it's revealed where the whole body is. So there's something connected with that dragon with Gaia's birthing that... So waiting for the rest of the breadcrumbs. We all have to follow the breadcrumbs, and each one keeps showing up, just like the energies we're in today. So powerful, right? I mean, this is auspicious that I agreed with you guys that this was the day that would work for me, not knowing back then of the huge alignment happening in Uluru today. And this one, I actually was woken up. I thought I would do it right before I came on the show today. And no, there were other plans in works because I needed a lot more time to be in the spirit realm with that energy. So I was actually woken up at 6:22 my time, which is 2:22 Greenwich Mean Time, which is exactly or roughly 2 hours before the actual conjunct of the planets that are happening today. So for those that don't know, Saturn, Jupiter, the Sun, and Mercury are all in conjunct today, and it's creating the umbilical cord, completing the dream time, the creation time that was interrupted with the Aboriginals and the ceremonies in the original creation time. And with that, the activation of what they call the rainbow serpent. And I had quite a bit of information come in over the week of the rainbow serpent is actually a serpentine dragon, the rainbow dragons, that has no appendages but wings. So it's a serpentine style dragon with wings. And I love that your guest last week, she's from Cape Town. And there's a ceremony today in Cape Town tied into this. And so during my morning, I was connecting in with it because I was shown the male rainbow dragon is sitting above Table Mountain in Cape Town. The female is sitting over Uluru in Australia.
Oh,
With those two, they're actually pulling together and pulling the umbilical cord together, spiraling around each other through the center of the planet. And if you look, and I didn't plan this, but I happen to have this next to me. This is my globe. This is how I do all my alignments, because there's so much geometric that happens inside the planet that we don't pay attention to when we're looking at sites on the surface. So if we line up Cape Town and Uluru, they're exactly through the globe around the same latitude. And if we triangulate, which everything with the dragons is triangulations, and I find the third point in the same latitude, it's Rapa Nui, which happens to be the heart chakra.
neat. Yeah, Easter Island.
I got pulled in because the female water dragon heart is very connected to me. And so I'm witnessing and triangulating the energy with the dragons from both sides in my part of the activation today. And what many of the dragons are doing. And so what I love about this is people can say, oh, well, it's just about Uluru, or it's just about the rainbow dragons, and I'm not connected to that. And yet we all are, because it's moving us into the golden age. It's the first step towards actually opening into the original dream of the planet, the original harmonious. My whole body's tingling on this, so this is when you got to pay attention. The whole harmonious dream of the golden age, of having peace on the planet, harmony, unity, both within and without, and actually moving into that union state that was interrupted. And why was it interrupted? I mean, this information came through this week as well. Actually, just on Friday in session with one of my dragon hearts. And that question is out there. What in the creation time, why was it interrupted? Was it interference? Was it, alien beings or reptilian beings or whatever, whatever dark influences we want to do? But it was actually part of the divine plan, because that harmonious dream would not have allowed separation, duality, third dimensional full drop into the most dense place, which had to happen, which was part of God's design and original plan for Mother, Father, God to reflect and see itself through what it is not.
Right,
so if you allow these experiments all around the universes to drop into these places of density, then the creation time, the whole story was in there. It was in the field, in the sphere, and yet it had to be interrupted in order for something to cut through the field and drop it into full density and cut the field apart, creating the masculine and feminine, creating the light and the dark, which allowed Earth to expand into and experience this depth of density, darkness, separation, what we are not. I believe and experience that ripping, that tearing down. And many of you might recognize this story and the Archangel Lucifer, who on high as an angel was the volunteer that took his sword and dropped all the way down. And he's been seen as darkness, he's been seen as shadow, he's been seen as devil, he's been seen as all these negative things, and yet it was his beautiful willing heart to be the one to drop the sword and bring it down into matter. So that's all what's completing as we step into today, and the conjunct and the completion, because the Aboriginals have held that storyline for all these years, and they're pulling all of it back together and completing it so that can be released, that can be unpinned, and then we move into the completion of the Dreamtime story, which was always in the sphere. It's always been around, which is why we can feel its potential and be called and move towards it. And now it's time. And what I find fascinating is that I've known for 3 years now that I need to get to Uluru. And I kept questioning when I found out about the ceremony, why am I not there now? Am I not supposed to be there now? And I kept getting, no, end of this year. I'm supposed to get the end of this year. And then I kept getting this week, gosh, I feel like I'm supposed to be there like right around Christmas. Is it the solstice? Am I supposed to be around the solstice? And then I found this information this week that just, they come out of left field like your experience. Our breadcrumbs come from our higher selves and our guides from seemingly left field. And there it is, the completion of this conjunct. I believe it's when Saturn and Jupiter are in conjunct again, is in 0 degrees Sagittarius on 12/21.
Wow.
And it's Mount Kilimanjaro, which is also connected and part of the dialogue I've been having with the lions and the lion dragons that I know, and also one of the sites that will be activated. So it all comes together, and it's all about pulling the pins out of 3D. So the bigger activation work that I'm doing is not only about the dragons, because as I was saying before, yes, I went to Kailash. It wasn't just about the pin, because it might not have been the large continental dragons that are being awoken, but there were thousands of dragons released from the land. There were large dragons awakened, and there were connections made with Tiamat and Gaia that were activated while I was there. So every trip reveals and has so many more pieces come into play that I just have to stay open to and allow everybody's piece that's in the journey to reveal itself. So a little long-winded to your question, Teresa. But hopefully that sort of explains what that's about and how the dragons are coming in, and in this time, what we're in.
Yeah, that's so cool. I'm so fascinated by the times we live in right now. Just too exciting. I would not have missed this for nothing. This is all so cool. So thank you for what you revealed to us. And, you know, because some of us just have an inkling. It's like, okay, dragon, what? But now you put it into such a beautiful picture that we can understand the whole thing that's going on. And so,
well, that's really why I'm here.
That.
I'm so excited that, you know, I wrote the book in 2007 and was allowing it to just percolate or organically into people's hands where it needed to go. Because until 3 years ago, the planet wasn't ready for the full aspect of what the dragons bring. So they were coming into those that were ready, the front runners at the front of the bell curve that's pushing humanity forward. And if humanity's the center of the bell curve, we've got those that are always pushing it forward, right?
Yeah.
So even 3 years ago, I was connected with them. They were always around my sphere, but it wasn't until then that I was shown, all right, it's time, full time. This is all you're doing. And, you know, this is what you're here for. Excuse me. So for me, interesting release. That always happens. Work. So for me to hear you say, you know, I'm so grateful to have your way of explaining things so that I can understand it, because that's what I am. I'm a guide. I am a guide for the dragons because not only am I a dragon, I'm deeply connected to this piece of the planet because I am one of the 12, and I'm the one that was supposed to be incarnate to wake up the others, to call them forth, and to allow the dragons that are ready to wake up, that are incarnate, just like you, to find themselves. And if I don't have a way to put that in words that you can understand, and it's only because I've deepened my own dragon connection so that, and you can feel, she's here, you can feel Tana coming through. Yeah. By being in both realms and merging that, that's the goal for my Dragon Heart program, is to bring that light body together, to bring your dragon self in so that you're living it here and now. Because as you expand that, you have access to so much more of your clair senses, your audience, your voyance, your substance. And when you have that, you have all the information there. And when the information is there and you're present with someone like yourself, you have a way to explain it in terms that you can feel, hear, or understand. So like when I'm working one-on-one with someone, your guides and mine will bring through, whether it's images, sounds, toning work, energy streams, whatever it is, it comes through in a way that you are going to be able to hear the information and receive it. So that's what I do. That's what, I'm so excited that I get to, every day of the week, work with people, work with dragons, and bring them to that next place, because I get to see the aha moment in your eyes. I get to see your heart open. I get to see you go, oh, my dragon! I mean, that to me is thrilling, truly. I mean, I'm finally on fire that it took me over 50 years to get to my life purpose. So don't give up, everybody who's trying to find their purpose and wondering what the hell you're here for. You have a purpose, and it just has to align to the right timing to have it reveal and go, here it is. And it's definitely the time, because the energies are so present and available right now, and I can feel it. We're in the stream of what's happening in Uluru right now. So when we're done with questions, I would love to lead a short meditation to take us into that energy stream with the rainbow dragons and allow that to unlock for you to your next piece.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm excited to do this, but I only had the one last thing that I've been telling everybody was when we took this class with you, the neatest thing that happened. Yeah, when I did the book club, we all heard the dragon. It was like, that was so like, oh my God, that There's feeling them, there's sensing them and seeing them, hearing them. That was a whole new level I never even expected. So that was in my class with Araya, you guys. The dragons come through and they show up.
They do show up, and I love that because the book club, and the next one's starting January 30th. It's a 6-week format, super fun, amazing transformation, and I only take 10 people. I think there's only 7 spots left right now. But that was fascinating with that group. The level of deeper connection there was profound, and that was actually the first time that auditorily came through because of someone in the group. So I don't promise that every time, but I do promise the dragons will show up. And we do a meditation each week, which is amazing and profound, and that's where the transformation comes. So it's a book club, but it's so much more because we discuss the book, but we're really not focused on the book. We're focused on a lot of the metaphysical things that are part of our spiritual journey that connect to the dragons and some of the information in the book, but it brings us into this profound state where each week we just see which dragons are present because of the group that's come together, because every group is different, and what they're ready to move through. And so that's always fascinating and fun for me, but it was amazing, I will agree with you, to actually hear on the audio, and nobody was making the sound, the dragons started growling into the background of the session around certain discussions. It was, yeah, that was cool. I will agree.
Yeah, it was just the coolest thing.
Said she heard them too. Yeah, I heard them too.
Yeah,
So
and that's what we would do. We would all be, because somebody'd be talking and we wouldn't want to really interrupt, but we'd all start pointing because it's a Zoom where we could see each other. We all start pointing to the ears. Are you guys hearing that? Because the first time I heard that, I thought, okay, this is weird interference. I thought we were being messed with or something. You know what I mean? It's like, what is that? But then everybody else was hearing it, and it's like, oh, so yeah, that was a whole amazing experience. Like,
yeah.
I don't even know. It was great. So our meditation today, what are we going to do in this meditation? I'm kind of excited.
You know, every meditation I go into, I never know until we're in. I do know, I get a sense of the dragons that are present, but I know that we're being pulled into the energy stream that's happening in the triangulation between Rapa Nui, Table Mountain in South Africa, which is in Cape Town, and Uluru, and the Rainbow Dragon energy. So that's all I know. We're going to go in and see what the dragons want to do and how to open whatever needs to be open for each person that's here connecting either live right now, hello, or on the replay. So, that's how I work. I don't ever have anything scripted or planned. I've learned, and this was a really big, and I feel like I need to mention this because there's some of you listening that are worried about stepping into who you be and how you do that. And as you step into more of that hands up, surrender, and trust, I will share that my biggest challenge, I was a type A control, like had to have notes, wanted to be really prepared for everything, would, design a meditation. That would be how I would have done it 5-10 years ago. But in the last 3 years, my guides and my journey have taken me into, all right, you have to really trust. You have to trust your higher self and just open to the flow of what's coming through, because it will never be, if you script something, it can never bring in the full energy of the moment. That is unexpected, is what reveals the breadcrumbs, is what shows us truly what our higher self wants to bring us into. And that's where, if we script it, if we know ahead of time, the mind is in control, and the mind is not our heart space. The mind is not where we be residing. And that's the big part of the journey right now, is that hands up, but it's dropping into your heart. It's stepping into, okay, here's the truth, because the heart is where the connection is. You want to connect to your dragon, it's through the heart. You want to connect to spirit, to Mother, Father, God, to any of the other beings around you, it's through this transparent heart. It's opening it wide open. And that's why the Dragon Heart program is about activating that heart space where your dragon heart comes forward with your human heart and overlays each other and merges. And then you can be in that space. So I don't know where we're going yet.
Yay, adventure. I love this.
All right. So just before we go in, do we have a time limit that I need to keep in the sphere as far as mindset? Do we need
What do you think,
done
Rhonda? 10, 15 minutes?
10, yeah, 10,
Okay.
15 minutes. 10, yeah, that'd be great.
Well, knowing how the dragons work, I'm sure that will be plenty to trigger everybody into something really big today, because it doesn't take much. All right. So Allow yourself, if you're sitting, to drop your feet to the ground, uncrossed legs, or lay down so that you're fully relaxed, letting every muscle in the body just drop into deep, deep relaxation. And bring your consciousness into your heart space. Allow yourself to feel a sphere forming around you. It might begin as if a crystal ball is forming. And as the crystal climbs up the sides and completes the sphere, you're going to begin to see the rainbow reflections of every color, even colors that you have not known before, been able to perceive before, moving around you. Pay attention to the pattern that they are moving in. Is there a specific geometric alignment coming into place with the colors and specific patterns? Is it a swirling mass, not chaotic, and yet swirling with all the colors intermixing and merging like buckets of paint, pulling together? And you can feel as if there's a crystal center within your heart space that is part of the walls of this sphere around you. The same swirling beginning in your heart space, or the same geometric patterning of color. And maybe there's a combination of the two, with a geometric pattern somewhere in the field surrounded by color that's feeding it and painting itself into it. As you allow the color to infiltrate your field, you can sense two things becoming louder, more present, or getting closer. And one feels almost like drum beats. The concentric ringing, the rings of didgeridoos, the chant coming from a song line through the rainbow, and mixed and merged with these very deep, earthy, Aboriginal style sounds. You can feel a dragon's breath, maybe even a roar or a rumble. It's gentle. It's not a menacing roar. It's not threatening. It's embracing. It's a rumble from the heart space coming up and through. Through the sphere and all the color around you and within you. You'll either feel a set of eyes of a piercing blue peering through in the midst of all the color surrounding you and looking deeply into your eyes and then into your heart space. Alternately, if you are not perceiving the eyes, you might sense their presence and yet just be feeling these massive wings wrapping around the sphere, rainbow wings that are enfolding and embracing you, making you feel more safe than you've ever felt, bringing up a wave of emotion through the heart space where you can recognize the frequency of home. Home that is within this harmonic field. If it's bringing up emotion, let that emotion ride up and out on waves to be taken out on the dragon's breath, out of the sphere, releasing the sensations of feeling lost, separated, alone, homesick. whether the eyes are piercing into you, bringing you that same sense of home. As you look deeply into them, you might even get glimpses of home or your family, your dragon family, your guides. But you'll feel a resonance begin in the center of your heart space, moving out like a concentric wave till it reaches the very edges of this crystal sphere. You'll feel something activate within you that's been waiting for this moment in time. Be awoken. Take a deep breath in. Exhale and release the pent-up pressure that's been within that space, within your being. But allow the new wave begin to expand out from the center of your heart space, the core of your being. And allowing the sphere to dissipate and dissolve. You find yourself back in your body, feeling a lightness of being, maybe feeling filled with color, and somehow different than you were only a few minutes ago. Allow yourself to perceive your skin, your back against the floor or the chair, feet against the floor. Twinkle toes, fingers. Ever so gently bring your consciousness back into the room around you. All right. So I hope you can receive the gift that the dragons brought today. It's like an aspect of your pearl that carries all of your Akashic records and expanded out and released. Okay. Ooh, I told you they work quickly.
That was absolutely amazing. It's funny because this morning I saw a license plate that said Pearl, and I was like, I have to remember that. And then you just said the Pearl of, yeah, so that was bringing it all home to me. Lots of higher heart activation, like a lot of higher heart activation.
Yeah, when you move into work with the dragon, start moving out of the human chakras and into the high heart. And the sun chakra is what I call the high solar plexus, between the solar plexus and the heart. Both of them are out in front of the body. Because those are also, the dragons have 9 chakras, and those are 2 of the dragon's 9 chakras that you start connecting to. All right. Well,
My cavities in here.
What's that, Teresa?
My cavities were popping in here and here. It's like my whole head.
Yeah, I can feel that. My ears just popped and released with you. Oh, beautiful. Thanks for allowing me to do that. It felt like a completion for the work that I was doing earlier this morning for, gosh, interestingly, 66 minutes. When I was woken up at 2:22 Greenwich Mean, they took me into 30, like I was in a space and I came to it, it had been exactly 33 minutes. And I was supposed to drop back in and I came back and it was exactly another 33 minutes. And I was like, okay, guys, I'm getting the message.
I love
That's
that.
12:42, which is interesting too. So what's that?
Yeah, right when we finish.
I love that.
All right.
Oh, thank you
Well,
for that. Thank you. Do we have comments from the audience on that?
Had some.
yeah, I can't see them, so feel free to share them with me.
Marcy said that was amazing to hear, and Nancy didn't want a time limit on the
That makes sense.
on the
Well,
meditation.
tell
And
Nancy to come
Terry
to
was
the
saying
book
she
club.
was having a little bit of a problem. A lot of
If
people
you
are
want
going to
more
watch again on the replay.
The book club is the ticket for a weekly meditation like that. That's 25 to 30 minutes.
Yeah,
Oh, that'd be
definitely.
awesome.
Yeah, that would
Yeah.
be
And how do they get in touch with you again to do that book club?
So
Let us know.
dragonwithin.com. You can email me at Araya at either invokehealing.com or dragonwithin.com. The For the Love of Dragons group on Facebook has posts, as does the Dragon Within page, the Dragon Within book, it's ebook page. I think it's Dragon Within or at Dragon Within on Facebook. It has a link for the event as well. But on dragonwithin.com, they'll see the book for sale. But there's also a page for guided meditations. So right now for English speakers, there's actually 5 separate meditations you can go on and get. There's a free one called Calling in Your Dragon. But then there's one on Unlocking Your Truth and Purpose. And then there's the 4 elementals, earth, air, fire, and water. And you can get them individually or you can buy the whole set of the 4 for a discounted price to actually do this and work with them and have it so you can listen to it over and over again. Because the beauty of a meditation is that when you work with the dragons, whether it's with the book, a meditation, whatever, you can do it again and again and again. You'll always get a deeper layer and understand or get something different that you weren't ready for before. And so like with the book club, all the classes get recorded. So you get to download and keep it so that you can listen to those as many times as you need to.
Lovely, lovely.
Yeah.
Nancy Louise said she had so many visions, and Candace Takchuk, she said, thank you, Araya, the incredible rainbow presence. And
You're welcome, Candace.
Louise.
Good to see you. That's Candace Takachuk. She's up in Canada.
Oh, is she? Cool. Like me.
That's where Rhonda is, yeah.
Nancy Louise says, my dragon was a gorgeous deep shades of brown body and was left the room turning green and with blue swirls. So pretty. So,
oh, wow.
Very nice. Yeah, cool. Cool. So, that's awesome.
I'm buzzing. I've been coming down for a while. This is nice.
And the nice thing is we can listen to this again on the replay, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. They can get the replay of this again as many times as they want to go back in that field. And they can listen to it and then just sort of like shut it off and stay in that field of energy for as long as they want to. And I would actually like suggest that because that was so powerful and it's going on all day today. I don't know how soon you get the replay up for people, but if they can go in and listen to it again before they go
immediately.
Yeah. Perfect. To go into
it
that.
immediately comes up here. It'll be on YouTube tomorrow, but it immediately comes up here. Kira Lanny said she felt the higher heart activation too. And also
nice.
a magnetic pole in the back of her third eye. There was a realignment in the occipital gateway, she said. So.
Yeah.
Right on.
So this is happening right now that definitely that anyone that can listen to that again as you go to sleep tonight, because the whole thing with the Aboriginal connection is about completing the dream time. So take it into the dream time. My whole body's chilling on this, so paying attention. Going into the dream time with it so you can expand and really allow that rainbow serpent, rainbow dragon energy to do what it really wants to do with you. There's more to come from this. This was like drop you in, but allow it to take you before you go to bed tonight.
Wild dreams tonight.
Yeah, I bet. That'd be so
We'll
cool.
be flying with the dragons.
I was already, that's what I was seeing, and part of that was flying with the dragons. I'm like, I'm ready. Let's go.
Decent.
So,
So Bex, you got that rock and roll question?
Oh, right.
sure.
Yes. So if you had to choose a song to be the theme song of your life, what would it be?
Now, I told you guys, the music is hard for me. I love lyrics. I'm always singing, making up songs, but to remember artists or things, and I put this out of, all right, show me, what is mine? And I started singing, I had it come in the other day, The Age of Aquarius. And at the end of the song, I have to look up the lyrics and see if that fits. And it was all about Age of Aquarius, do, 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 do. But then the end of it is let the sunshine in. Let the sunshine, let the sunshine in. And I had to laugh at myself because that is, like, my name, Araya, means a being of the sun or a being of light. And my nickname historically has been Sunshine. So I was like, yeah, that's my song. And I feel like it finally fits. Had that always through my life? No, but now that I'm seeing all the alignments and all of the pieces that have brought me to where I am now and where I'm headed, it's absolutely like why I'm here. And I've known since I was a child, even before that song was around. This is my last go around. And when I was raised in a church, and when I read about the end times or things, I always knew somehow, like, everything's going to change while I'm here. Like this, whatever they're calling in Revelations, this whole shift thing, that's going to happen while I'm here. I always knew it. And so that again leads in, it's the Age of Aquarius and opening into that next expansion. And I'm so excited to be a part of it and to come and be able to share it with you guys. Thanks so much for inviting me. Again, I love being on, and I love being able to share with everybody what the dragons want to bring.
Woohoo. Thank you.
I love having you here. We'll invite you again.
Yes.
Okay.
So cool.
Yeah, get our dragon fix. It's so good.
We got to get our dragon
Love
fixed.
it.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's true.
so good. All right, so I will announce the winner of last week's Share It Out, and they won a mini reading with Teresa. So congratulations to Philippa Story. Teresa will be contacting you to schedule your reading, and whoever shares out the most this week has a chance to win a mini healing through your record session with Rhonda. So you don't want to miss out on your chance. It's very powerful, and it will give you some really deep insight into things maybe you haven't been able to see yet. So it's really worth sharing out and inviting friends. And, who doesn't want to hang out with dragons today, right? I mean, this has to be a reading. Like, hang out with dragons today. It's perfect.
Yeah.
I love it.
Warm up my place. Yeah.
Right. Oh, and a little thing I wanted to share that Araya and I were just talking about briefly before we got on is that, I work with angels and I work with ascended masters, and I never think to connect dragons in with that. But Araya was mentioning that they also have dragons that you can call in. When you call in your ascended masters, your spiritual support team, you can also include the dragons in that. So keeping that in mind if you want to work with dragons more, which I'm very excited to bring that into my awareness now more. So thank you for sharing that.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
The dragons and the angelic realms are definitely working hand in hand. And
Yes.
it's because they're the highest octave. Many of the dragons that came in angelic form first to form the spirit realms of this realm, and then have dropped into incarnate human form. So that's where you also get earth angels, angelic beings that are in human form. They weren't necessarily dragon, but they were incarnate in the spirit realms first as part of those creators of that realm.
So perfect. I love the connections with everything. Beautiful. All right. Anything else? I think that's it, right?
That's it.
How do we get a hold of Araya?
Araya,
It's all in the comments now.
Okay.
I was able to pop that up in there. So that's all up there.
Thank you.
And in the comments and in the beginning of the video. So all her contacts and her websites are there. Does a lot.
I'm going to check her out.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Great.
All right. Well, thank you. Have a blessed week.
likewise.
Namaste.
Bye-bye.
Bex is going to have to take us
Oh,
out.
that's right. I'm doing it. All right.
Just reminding Bex because she had to take
Thank
over.
you. I'm just going to sit here. That's good. All right. Take care, everybody. Thanks for watching. We love you all.
Thank you. Bye.